When the news broke of her mother's passing, my daughter and I were worlds apart, estranged by time and circumstance. A heavy silence followed, but then Bobby Brown shattered it with a confession that sent shockwaves across the globe, a revelation so raw it left everyone reeling. His admission about his role in Whitney Houston's tragic end. No longer just whispers in the shadows or tabloid fodder. This was a gut-wrenching truth straight from the man who once stood by Whitney's side through the dizzying heights of fame and the crushing lows of despair. In that moment, the world's gaze locked onto him. Was it guilt gnawing at his soul, a desperate need to make peace with the past, or a belated attempt to set the record straight? Whitney's fans were devastated, their hearts broken anew. The public erupted in outrage, and the media pounced, eager to unravel every thread of this tangled love story, a saga drenched in passion, pain, and heartbreak. Bobby became the focal point of a relentless fascination, forever tied to the enigma that was Whitney Houston. Before we plunge into the hidden truths and chilling secrets behind their story, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to join us on this journey to unearth the raw, unfiltered reality. Music transition. Fame's dazzling glow always casts a long, dark shadow. And in the tale of Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston, that contrast was glaring from the moment their paths crossed. Their 1992 wedding captivated the world, a radiant diva with a voice that could move mountains and a defiant R&B star, their union seeming like a dream too wild to last. They were hailed as a musical dynasty, two fiery souls burning bright together. Yet, behind the glittering veneer, fractures began to form, and murky tales from behind closed doors sparked both awe and unease, slowly morphing into suspicion. From the start, the press was merciless, capturing their beaming smiles at the altar only to spotlight their weary, strained glances months later at galas and events. Every gesture was magnified, every moment twisted into proof of a stormy marriage. Whitney, groomed to embody perfection under the spotlight, seemed to falter when bound to Bobby's untamed spirit, his unpolished edge clashing with her poised elegance. That clash, in the public's eyes, was a disaster waiting to unfold. Insiders whispered of tense silences at press events, a fleeting glance or a forced grin enough to ignite a firestorm of gossip. People murmured that their stark differences, a polished icon molded for stardom and a rebel unbound by convention, were the roots of their undoing. One tabloid called them a collision of fire and storm, breathtaking yet destined to consume one another. Over time, the image of a fiery romance gave way to a narrative shrouded in darkness. In his memoir, Every Little Step, Bobby later confessed their marriage was far from smooth, a simple admission that unleashed a torrent of speculation. If it wasn't smooth, what was it really? Fans and skeptics alike began piecing together old clips, grainy photos, and fragmented anecdotes from those close to them, painting a picture of a couple locked in constant turmoil. The public didn't stop at curiosity. They pointed fingers, branding Bobby as the force that threw Whitney off balance. Rumors swelled, each headline a fresh wound in their private lives. A close confidant once revealed Whitney was drained, weighed down by the demands of her career and the chaos of her marriage. That whisper grew into a tale that their troubled union dragged her into a downward spiral she couldn't escape. When the media echoed it, it became gospel in the public's mind. The cruel irony was that fans once dreamed of Bobby and Whitney as a fairy tale romance, but all they saw was a widening chasm. Questions swirled. Was this love or a bond eroded by fame's unrelenting glare? Debates raged, some pitted Whitney, others vilified Bobby, while a few saw them both as casualties of their own choices. Then the whispers turned darker. The press shifted from dissecting their conflicts to probing Bobby's influence on Whitney's career. Some outlets hinted their marriage tarnished her pristine image, and though evidence was thin, these claims spread like wildfire, cementing Bobby as the villain. Whitney, exhausted by the scrutiny, became the world's darling, a tragic figure deserving of sympathy. Looking back, it's clear that light and shadow were always intertwined in their story. A couple celebrated as music royalty, yet torn apart by the world's gaze. A mix of adoration and condemnation, empathy and judgment. Those early years cast the first doubts over Whitney's life, doubts that linger even now. Their wedding vows, once a symphony of hope, became a heavy burden they both carried. Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown stepped into marriage amid cheers and flashing cameras. Their union hailed as perfection incarnate. But behind the dazzling facade, the truth was far messier. Bobby's memoir didn't shy away from admitting it was tough. 3 words that sliced through the illusion of a dream marriage. It was tough didn't just mean petty arguments. It meant heated clashes, icy stares replacing tender touches, and the crushing weight of love turning into a battlefield. Insiders described backstage moments thick with unease, a glance from Whitney, a scowl from Bobby, enough to make everyone around them feel the strain. Yet, when the curtains parted, they played their parts, smiling as if all was well, a cruel paradox that hid a fractured reality. The media pounced on every crack, a minor spat in public screaming "marriage in crisis" across headlines. If they left an event separately, it was front-page news. Power couple splits. The press thrived on tragedy, and in Whitney and Bobby, they found a goldmine. Readers devoured every rumor, truth indistinguishable from fiction. Slowly, their marriage became defined by chaos in the public's eyes. Gossip swirled that Whitney, a global icon, faced double the pressure with Bobby by her side, her career's demands infiltrating every moment of peace. Friends shared she was worn thin, struggling to balance her stage persona with a home filled with discord. Though unproven, these stories convinced many that their marriage was her undoing. The public rarely spared Bobby's sympathy. He was cast as the rogue who dimmed an angel's light. They ignored the nuances of two strong personalities colliding, craving a simple tale. A perfect star fell because she loved the wrong man. But those close to them told a different story. Some swore Bobby's love for Whitney was fierce, so intense it sometimes suffocated them both. His stubborn nature and her pride made harmony impossible. Two flames that, instead of warming, burned everything down. Their cultural differences only deepened the rift. Whitney, raised in the polished world of gospel and molded into a flawless star, clashed with Bobby's street-born defiance. What once sparked their attraction became a divide. Critics noted society demanded Whitney remain a pristine icon, while Bobby embodied rebellion, making their union a lightning rod for judgment. That judgment hit Whitney hardest. She became the tragic heroine, while Bobby was the scapegoat, no matter how he tried to explain. The world turned their private struggles into a public spectacle, questioning whether Whitney stayed out of love or sheer exhaustion. Fans compared her radiant early 90s performances to the weary gaze of the late 2000s, blaming every faltering note on her marriage. The truth was far more tangled, but the world craved drama over complexity, casting Whitney as a fallen angel and Bobby as the shadow behind her fall. Their vows, once a beacon of love, became fragments of a dream that cost them both their peace. By the late 2000s, Whitney's attempts to reclaim the stage were a faint echo of her former glory. Her voice, once a force of nature, now trembled, each note a reminder of what was lost. Fans who once roared with joy now watched in quiet sorrow as their idol struggled through songs that once defined her. The media, ever hungry for a downfall, painted her as a broken relic, a ghost of her past, her voice a shadow of its former power. Images of her gasping mid-performance or bowing in defeat filled tabloids, each one a dagger to her legacy. Meanwhile, Bobby's interviews only deepened the public's pain. He spoke of his helplessness, watching Whitney slip away, his words carrying both regret and a cry for understanding. Fans didn't know whether to see him as a bystander or a catalyst in her decline. Rumors painted him as both her anchor and her undoing, recalling the days when her eyes sparkled with love for him, only to question whether that love saved or destroyed her. The media spun tales of a star dimmed by a flawed romance, a genius crushed by fame's weight, or a woman betrayed by the man she trusted most. In every story, Bobby loomed large, as lover, destroyer, or both. Whitney's final performances were marked by fragility, her once bold presence replaced by anxious eyes, as if she sensed her fate. Each strained note, each cough, laid bare a battle not just with time, but with the ghosts of pressure, habits, and a love that both lifted and broke her. Bobby's confessions of powerlessness only fueled suspicion. Why would someone so close claim to be helpless? Was he truly just a witness, or did he pull her deeper into the abyss? Their personal tragedy spilled into headlines, a saga of a broken marriage, a fading career, and a star who couldn't breathe under fame's weight. Whitney's 2012 passing left a void that shook the world, ending not just a life, but an era. Her death wasn't just a loss. It was a scar on music history, leaving behind a legacy tangled with love, loss, and blame. Bobby's name was inescapable in every discussion, every analysis of her end. He didn't hide from the spotlight, facing the accusations head-on. In one pivotal interview, when asked about his feelings after Whitney's death, Bobby paused, his eyes searching the void, then said, "I hold myself accountable for so much." Those words detonated like a bomb, igniting a firestorm across media from New York to Tokyo. Clips of that moment played on repeat, each replay twisting the knife in fans' hearts. The public split. Some saw it as a raw admission of guilt, a man owning his role in her spiral. Others saw it as the natural torment of a grieving husband, not a confession but a human cry of regret. This ambiguity turned the statement into a lightning rod, fueling endless debates. Headlines screamed, "Bobby admits his role," or "The truth behind Whitney's fall." Each word he spoke was dissected, twisted into new narratives. What did he mean by so much? Was it the fights, the nights love turned to war, or the temptations they both faced? The questions stung, unanswered but relentless. Some believed Bobby pushed Whitney toward her doom, though proof was scarce. Social media buzzed with theories. Some called him the architect of her ruin, others a scapegoat for a tragedy too vast to process. His confession wasn't just a moment of vulnerability. It became the spark that reignited every suspicion, every tear, every ounce of grief. Bobby could never escape those words. Every interview, every appearance, brought the same question: "Do you believe you caused it?" Each dodge only deepened the public's conviction that he hid a darker truth. To fans, Whitney remains the irreplaceable queen, her voice eternal. To Bobby, she's a wound that never heals, a love that haunts him. That confession, whether a fleeting lapse or a raw truth, became the flame that kept their story alive, tragic, gripping, and unresolved. After that bombshell, Bobby became the eye of a storm. Fans, still reeling from Whitney's loss, found in him a target for their pain. To many, he was the root of her unraveling, the villain in a tragedy watched by millions. The weight of their judgment was crushing. Everywhere he went, eyes followed, accusing. Then, in another interview, he dropped another bombshell. "I didn't introduce her to anything. She chose her path." The words sparked outrage, a stark contrast to his earlier self-blame. Was he backtracking, dodging accountability? Or was he simply stating that Whitney, a force in her own right, made her own choices? The public split again. Some saw it as a coward's escape, others as a painful truth about a woman too strong to be led astray. This contradiction made Bobby both defendant and advocate in a public trial. Online, Fans clashed, some branding him a liar, others seeing a man burdened by a narrative he couldn't control. The media amplified every angle, turning Bobby into a paradox. Guilty yet sympathetic, flawed yet human. His name became inseparable from Whitney's, his every move tied to her tragedy. He faced a choice: live forever in guilt's shadow or seek redemption through his family and art. The loss of his daughter, Bobby Christina, to a fate eerily like her mother's, deepened his pain, with the public whispering of a cursed family. Whitney's death was a seismic blow, silencing the world as fans mourned an irreplaceable icon. For Bobby, it was the start of a lifelong sentence. Every anniversary of her passing reignites the debate. Comments flood social media, old articles resurface, all circling back to him. His defenses, his tears, his silences. None could quiet the storm. He tried to move forward, releasing music, writing his story, but the question lingered. What about Whitney? His family became his anchor, yet her ghost remained. Their love, once a blazing anthem, is now a mournful ballad of passion, betrayal, and loss. Bobby's regret isn't fleeting, it's his legacy. He once said, "I wish I could have done more to save her." But no wish can rewrite the past. On quiet nights, when the world fades, he's left with memories. Her laughter, her radiant gaze, their love now just fragments. He carries them, a weight he'll never shed. Whitney's legacy, and the regret tied to it, will haunt him forever. This isn't just a tale of two stars. It's a mirror to the fragility of love under fame's glare. Whitney's death wounded the world, and Bobby, whether guilty or not, lives in its shadow. What do you think? Was Bobby the cause, or a victim of fate? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more haunting stories from music's past. Thanks for joining us. Check out our latest videos on your screen, and we'll see you in the next one.